Hi there, today we're still following a slightly Halloween or spooky theme, whichever way you want to look at it, and I've made this cute little ghost. It doesn't look scary at all, does it? It does look a little bit like a cocoon, I thought, when I hung him in the garden, but even so, I do think he is rather cute. He's actually just hung on some clear thread, which I have here, which I will show you what that is in a little while. So this is the little guy we're going to make. He's so simple, so quick and so adorable, I thought. So I thought I'd share him with you. So a quick look at the equipment we've got. I've actually used a metallic sort of type of yarn. It's just a double knit yarn. Obviously you can do it with just plain white, or like I say, I managed to get this with the filament through it, which I thought was quite pretty. I have my stuffing. I have two 6mm eyes there. I'm making him on a 3.5mm hook, which is usually, as you can, well, if you follow me regularly, you know that is my favourite hook to use. I have my scissors, a little bit of, this is actually crochet cotton rather than embroidery cotton to do his mouth, my regular needles, and this is what I've just mentioned. Now I've had this ages, so it might be more than that now. It's just monofilament. You could use fishing line, which you don't have to use anything that's clear. I just thought it might be nice because it makes him look like he's actually floating. So I'll pop all the bits and pieces that we don't need to one side. Over we go. Look, he's had a little roll over. Let's leave him over there. My needles I don't need, and my eyes. So we're going to start off obviously with our yarn. I say you don't have to use the filament yarn, it does catch sometimes. Right, we're going to start with our slip knot. Again, not too tight, remember, when it goes on the hook, so you need to be able to move it quite comfortably. And we're going to start like I start all my works. I'm going to start with 2 chain, and into that first chain I'm going to do 6 double crochets. Quick reminder, UK terms, there would be single crochets if you were using US terms. 3, 4, 5 and 6. Remember, you can pull this tight, it closes up that hole. If you've got a decent slip knot, that is what it should do. Now we have 6 stitches. If you're not 100% sure, count from the back. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. White's a funny colour to see, I find. It's not one of my favourites. So we're going to go into that first one and we're going to do a double crochet. And we're just going to do 1 double crochet into each one. So we've only got 6. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 and there's 6. Normally with my amigurumi I'm usually starting to increase already, but I do only want 6 in there, and we're going to do that again because the top of his head's a little bit pointy and it's sort of aimed so it goes over a little bit as well. So we need one more round where it's just going to be 6, and as you can see it's a very awkward shape to get into, so I do find it's best to try and push it through if you can at this point, and then you see your stitches a little bit easier. So we need 6 again. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and our last one, number 6. So we've had 2 rounds of just 1 double crochet into each of the 6, so you can see it's more of a quite a sharp sort of point with that. Now I'm going to now increase, and we're going to just do 3 increases to get 9 stitches, and that will include 2 in the first one, 1 stitch in the second one. You're going to repeat that again. 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one. So 2 double crochets again and 1 double crochet. So we've now got 9 stitches, starting to get a little bit easier to get into as well. As soon as it starts to get larger and the sort of space here is easier, we're going to do 1 double crochet into each one. So we've got 9 stitches now. I'm not popping a stitch marker in because I would rather count the 9 to know I've definitely done it. You can do if you want though. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So we're starting to sort of make a little cone. You see its little shape coming. I suppose with a ghost there's no right or wrong, so if yours went a little bit wider or something like that, it's not the end of the world as long as you get an approximate shape. It's your ghost, remember, you can decide. So now we've got that 9 and we've done 9 double crochets round. We're going to do an increase. Now this increase is a little bit weird. Usually with amigurumi it's spaced out nicely all the way round, but because we want to sort of get this sort of wider part, that's not going to happen. I'm only going to increase on so many and then no increases. So with this one, in the first 6 stitches, you're going to be doing 2 double crochets in each. So count carefully. We have 1, so there's 2 in that one. There's 2 in the next one. 2. 2 in the next one. 3. Same again. 4, 2 in the next one, and 2 in the next one. So 6 of our stitches have had 2 double crochets in each. So it's only sort of expanded here, but it's expanded the whole thing by 6 stitches. The next 3, because remember there was 9, we've just done 6, are just going to be double crochet, just 1 in each. 1, 2, and 3. So we've expanded. Can you see how it's starting to push it over? Sort of pushes it over to one side. So one side's expanded and the other side hasn't. So it just creates a slightly different shape there. We're now going to do a double crochet round, all the way around, just 1 in each. We have 15 stitches at this point. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5 more to go, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. So we've gone round. If you really want to, you can pop a stitch marker in now. I just do find that with this type of increase in, the stitch marker moves. Well, it doesn't move, but your starting point looks like it's moved, so it can be a little bit annoying for that. We're now going to do another one of those strange increases. So let me double check I'm doing it right. Here we go. So again, it's going to be times 6, this first bit. So we're going to do 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one. That is your little group of patterning. That's classed as one set. So then it would be 2 and a 1, a 2 and a 1. And you're going to be doing that 6 times. So we'll start. So we have 2 in this one here, but only 1 in the second one. That's one set done. 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one, 2 sets done. 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one, that's 3 sets. 2 and a 1, that's 4 sets. 2 and a 1, 5 sets. One more time. So we've got 2 in the first one, just 1 in the second one. So again, it's increased more one side than the other, just to give us a little bit of shaping. And then we're just going to DC round in the next few stitches, which we've only got 3 left. So we should only have 3 left. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do a double crochet round. We should have 21 stitches at this point. As you know, well, lax perhaps is the wrong word, because I do care about what I do, but I don't over worry. So say if I had 22 stitches at this point, I'm not going to stress about it, but we should have 21. So we're just going to have a plain double crochet round for 21 stitches. So I'm going to count. If there's any problem with filament yarn, it can split. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it don't take too long, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I just have to check how many I'd said then. I said 21, don't I? 13, 14, 15, just a few more, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and one more makes our 21. So we now have 21 stitches. If you flatten it out, you can sort of see, so I give it a little wiggle about, you can see the sort of shape that's creating there. We are now going to be doing some more DC rounds. So I've stopped at this point because if you want, a stitch marker might not be a bad idea at this point. I'm going to pop one in if I can see one, because I've not put one out like silly. I've not got one in my pot. I'm going to pinch this yarn because this is going to be for sewing his mouth, but I'm just going to pinch a little bit off there and I'm going to push that through. The only reason I'm using one now is because I'm going to be talking and we've got 3 more rounds that are just double crochet rounds, and it's easy, you don't want to hear me count to 21 3 times, so it's easier for me to do this way. So if you do want to fast forward at this point, as I say, all we're going to do is one double crochet in every single stitch, and we're going to do that 3 rounds. So here we go. This is the start of our first round. I can actually hear the filament slightly catching. If you can hear that, I don't think you can because of the microphone, but it sort of gives like a little crunch when it catches. I absolutely love sparkly yarn, almost as much as I love variegated yarn, but you do have to be careful with it because it can catch. The effect is well worth it though. This is usually my snowman yarn, but I decided I thought we could have a glittery little ghost as well. So that's our first round already. So we have 2 more like that. Because say at this point, if you know what you're doing, you don't have to follow me. You can sort of just slightly fast forward, or if you're not sure what you're doing, and if I'm going a little bit fast, I do apologise, just pop it on that slower setting and you can watch what I'm doing. But it is basically just exactly the same stitch in every single one. That is it. So if you're comfortable with your double crochets, just think just 3 rounds. Make sure this doesn't pull out. It's the only problem when you put a bit of thread in rather than a proper stitch marker. Especially if you're doing a larger project. I've found I've been sort of happily going round, not realising it had dropped out, and then all of a sudden thinking this has got to be longer than 1 round, and it has, and I've probably lost it quite a way back, so there's a lot of counting to do then. Right, last round. It'll not take you long to make this little guy either. I've already made 2 because I wanted to take some photographs of them yesterday, and these will be going in my Halloween decorations when I do it. I know not everybody wants to do Halloween decorations, but they don't have to be just for Halloween. I just think he looks rather cute. And if you don't want him as a ghost, you can pretend he's a cocoon. Because I did think that's what he looked like, which you'll see when I put the pictures on. Right, so we're round. So we have the start of our little ghost. That is the back. Remember, this is back where the marker is. So I'm just going to pop it down, take that out a minute. So I just want to turn it over to give it a little stretch, because you will need to do that when you first start doing it. When you're stuffing it, it's better. We need to think about his eyes next. I'm using a 6mm, put my sleeves up, it annoys me if they're down, 6mm eyes. Now I'm going to put them in at this point because they can be difficult. So when you're putting them in, because you need to make sure you've got the curve in the right place. So basically I made sure this was centre back, flattened it out, and then I now know his eyes are going here. So we'll pop one in. I have done about safety eyes before, but you do have to make sure they are good quality. I think I'll take them a bit higher. You decide where you want them. They can be wider, or they can be closer, or they can be lower or higher. It makes no difference. There, it looks cute already. But as I say, make sure they're good quality, because you can get them, and I've had them when they've snapped, and I've had them on kits actually, which is very frustrating. With these particular ones, it's dome side up. So I'm pushing them down, it looks like a little umbrella that way, and then I'm clicking 1, 2, 3. I find 3 clicks works for these. If you make it too tight, it cuts into your yarn, so you've got to be careful. Or if it's too loose, it looks baggy next to your yarn, which is not great either. So 1, 2, 3. Might depend on what you're using, so you might need a little bit of practice, but you want it close. You can see I can just get my nail under that, but you don't want it sort of so close that it starts to dig into the yarn. It doesn't look good at all, that. So there's these cute little eyes that are in there. You need to put them in this early, because as soon as we start shaping down, you're not going to get them in there, which is quite difficult to do then. We have another increase round, but it's a really quick one. It's only 3 stitches we are increasing by. So hook back in. Don't lose stitch marker for a moment. Again, you probably won't need it in there at all yourself if you're counting, but because I'm talking, I do need it in there just to remind me. So I'm going to have 2 double crochets in the next one, or the first stitch actually. Then I'm going to do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now in each of those 5 I've just put 1 double crochet. I'm going to do an increase on my next one, so 2 in this one, and then 1 in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We're going to do that again. 2 into this one, or not, I've just dropped it. 2, then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll move my yarn a minute. 4 and 5. So now you're going to worry a little bit, because you're going to go, well, my stitch marker's over there, but I've finished here. So what's happened there? Don't worry about that. As I say, sometimes this happens when you're decreasing or increasing, so you do have to be careful. What I wanted though, I wanted to go from 21 stitches to 24 stitches. So that is why I've only increased the 4 times. And those 4 times, if we think about it, what, that's 6, 6, 12, what have we got? I don't know, what am I doing? 6, there's a lot of maths in crochet, you'd be surprised how much is there. So we did 5 in 1 and 1, so that's 6, and we did that 3 times, so 6, 12, 18. That is why we're not there yet, because the increase only included 18 stitches. So, oh, I'm going to ask you now just to carry on until you get to that stitch marker. 1, 2, 3 and 4. You're there. But I only wanted 3 stitches because I specifically wanted 24 stitches, because the next part, when you're doing a pattern, you're decreasing, they do have to be certain multiples when you're working them out, and 21 wasn't working for me, so I've just added in those extra 3 to make it work. 2 rounds now of just double crochets, nice and easy peasy. Use that stitch marker again. This is round his fat tummy area. We're going to start decreasing in a few minutes. It's amazing, as I said, how much maths are involved in creating a pattern. I don't think people realise that. It is important. It has to either multiply by or it has to be divisible by. So I don't mind maths. I'm not the best. I'm okay. But I don't mind doing it. Nearly round. So that should be 24 stitches, as I've just mentioned. We need 1 more round of that. If you're really worried at this point, stop and count. But I don't mind if his belly's a little bit fatter. I don't think it is. I do think we've got the right number. Sometimes when you've been doing it a while, it just feels right. You know what you've done or what you haven't. Halfway around. As soon as we start to decrease, it'll go even faster. There we are. I'll say one more stitch. Right, so I'm going to say I'm round, so you can see how he's shaping up now. Now we are now going to start with a little bit of decreasing. Now again, the decreasing this time's not going to be so bad, but it will actually end up a little bit weird like the top bit we did. The first one is just 2 together, 4 DCs. So that's 6 stitches, and we're going to do it 4 times. So if you think about your maths again, you've got 6, 12, 18, 24. This is why I wanted the 24. So we're going to go 2 together. We're going to do 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to have 2 together. Just a reminder, if I've sped past that first one, so a little bit slower for the together. You pull it through, but you don't finish the stitch. You go into the next one, you pull it through. We should have 3 on that stitch, and pull it through all 3. That's you together. Pull it tight afterwards as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to do 2 together. Make sure pull it tight at that end. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We need 1 more decrease, so 2 together. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And look at that, we've actually ended up in line. That's where we wanted it, in line with our little marker. Now we're going to be doing 2 together again, but as I say, it's going to be a little bit weird, this one. You're going to be doing 2 together over 10 stitches 5 times. That sounds a bit hard, that, but we've got 20 stitches now, so let's just do it slowly. So in each of these next sets of stitches, we want to crochet 2 together 5 times. That's 10 stitches. So we've got 1, pull it tight, 2, pull it tight, 3, pull it tight, 4, pull it tight, 1 more 2 together is our 5. So with 5 times, can you see how it's sort of really pulled it in that one side here, sort of the curve of his tummy? We're now going to do just 1 double crochet into each of the next 10, because we had 20 stitches, remember. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And look, we are still in line. That's it. If you sat quiet, I don't think this is necessary. I think it's more important that you count, but if you're chuntering like I am, that is important. We're going to do a very similar system on the next one, but this time we're only going to do those 2 togethers 3 times. Now I'm going to push this end in here because it's getting in my way. I'm also going to have to think about stuffing him soon, because I can't leave it too late with this one because it doesn't leave a hole like the others. So for 3 times I'm going to do 2 together, so that's going to be 6 stitches we're working on. So that's a 2 together. That's number 1. They're a little bit tighter to get into now because we've already decreased once, and 2. Remember to tighten it up after each one, and that's our 3. Now we do need to continue round with this, but it's getting smaller again, the hole. I don't know this. Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll get away with doing those 9 stitches. So we need 9 double crochets now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to get rid of my stitch marker now. I don't feel it's necessary. Just loosen that off because I need to stuff him, because we're going to struggle to get in there if we're not careful. With the stuffing, I like to just break mine up a little bit, make them nice and soft, and we're going to have to put this in smaller pieces because we need to get up here. So I'm just going to pop this first little piece in, and I'm going to try and push it all the way up to the top. Make sure his eyes sit flat. Sometimes you do have to adjust them because of the plate at the back of them. Let's put a little bit more in then. Yeah, you can see his shape coming now. This is quite a nice toy soft toy stuffing I'm using, but again, make sure you're using proper grade, safety grade. Even if it's not for a child, you still have to think about things like health and safety, like fires and things like that. You don't want things to be flammable, so it is important you double check your stuffing. Most of them have got safety standards on them, so you will see that. Right, I'm going to slightly overstuff him, because I'm not going to be able to add any bits of stuff in as I get lower down here. So we can always push it when we roll him back into position. So I'm going to have to overstuff him so as I can then let it drop down afterwards. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. There we go. Always got a fat tummy. I think we can squeeze one more little bit in. Bless him. It might be a little bit of a chubby one, this one. There we go. So pushed it in nice and far because I don't like it round the stitches because it catches in with my stitches. And all we're going to do now, we're going to do one double crochet round. So tighten it all up. So remember there was 9 stitches, so we need 9 double crochets. I'm saying 9, I can't add up. There's 12. What am I on about? So I've got 1. One side will be easier than the other to do. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more, 11 and 12. Now that 12 is where it just gives it a little bit more of length there at that end bit, because all I'm going to do now is just 2 together, 2 together, 2 together until it's closed. That's why I say you need to get your stuffing in early. Right, so here we go. This is fiddly to hold. I found it quite hard to hold it because he's lopsided. It was difficult to sort of hold it to do it. So be aware of the tension of your yarn while you're trying to do this, because you don't want it to go loose. So 2 together, pull it tight, 2 together, pull it tight. This is the fiddliest bit, so it's quite an easy little pattern really. 2 together. It's even nearly closing up already. 2 together. Not much of a hole left. 2 together. Can we get one more in? Let's have a look. I think we can squeeze one more set in. 1. And that last stitch is always hard. And 2. And that's it. You're not going to fit any more in there. We can always sew that little bit up if you've got a little bit of a gap there. So I'm going to chop my yarn off. I'm going to fasten my yarn off. And I'm going to give him a little roll to shovel his belly down a bit. There we go. So you can now see, I think he is a little bit chunkier than my other one. That's okay. Just going to straighten his eyes a bit because I can feel the stuffing's pushing them. That's good. And as I mentioned, maybe a little tiniest of weeniest holes there. So I'll grab my favourite sewing needle here. It's got a nice sharp point, so it helps getting into your work. And all I'm going to do is just, it's almost like a little darn. Can you see it's just pulled in? Just by doing that, it just pulled it straight in. So I'm going to take it through again. Let's make that into a little knot this time. Fastened off. And like with all the crochet, we're just going to thread the yarn through, because I'm always worried about things coming undone. Don't pull it too tight, else you'll lose his shape. And push it through again. And one last time for luck. Then there we go. So I can now trim that off. So we have our little, he is definitely a bit chunky. I think I put too much stuffing in, because the thing is, it's yarn, it will stretch. So just by stuffing something, you can completely change its shape. So I don't mind. He'll look quite cute with the others. He'll have to be the main one. He'll have to be the boss. So we need a face. Well, we need a little mouth. I had tried different methods. I'd tried looking for my yarn now. I've got it. I tried doing like a little sort of surprised mouth and things like that, but I still came back to my sort of I think it's perhaps the thing I always do. I like that little cute little V mouth. I'm going to do a little knot in the end. As I mentioned, this is a crochet cotton, not an embroidery cotton, but you can use embroidery cottons. But I think with the crochet cotton, it doesn't split. An embroidery cotton will split. So we go in from the back. We come up where we want his little mouth. I've done it quite close to his eyes this time. So pull it through. Make sure that comes through the stuffing, but not too far through. And then, because you can see there's 2 stitches here, I'm just going to go between them two. You have got the eyes under there, so it does sometimes sort of catch. So there we go, back in that centre point. And ta-da! Makes a world of difference, that tiny, tiny little feature. And I'm just going to push it through again a few times. Now I'm going to make sure it goes through the centre, because I don't want this black obviously showing under here. So I've really pushed it through, so it's just going through the stuffing. You don't want it visible if possible. Right, trim that down. And there we go. The very last thing we have to do is this filament. As I say, you don't have to use it, but it is clear, so it does look quite nice when you're hanging them up. Very curly to use, mind, as you can see. Again, fishing twine is a very similar, and I'm sure there must be other products out there as well. But this is one that I did have from jewellery making, so that is why I've used it. So let's straighten it up. I've just folded it in half. Again, it's very curly, so it gets in your way. And all I'm going to do is thread it through my needle. Not all the way though. It doesn't want to uncurl. There we are. It'll be all right when I push it through. And I'm going to push through from the back because I found it sat better. And it's also slightly to one side rather than on the point, which might work. Let's have a look. I think that would work. Possibly. On the others I have put it slightly to one side because of the curve, so I'm going to do it there. Come from the back, not all the way through, just far enough so I get my loop, and I'll take my needle off. So one side I have my loop, the other side I have the 2 strands. I'm going to push the 2 strands through the loop and pull it tight. Or not, I've just gone and pulled it out. It's anything with something that's clear, especially when you're sort of like looking down on it from the camera. We will try that again. I'm going to push it through. I'm only pulling the loop through, which that was right. That was right. Then I'm going to grab the 2 loose filaments. I'm going to hold it there this time so it doesn't come out. I'm going to pull it really, really tight. So we have our hanger. So you can see he's hanging, so it looks like. I'm going to tie a little knot in the top of this. The only other thing with filament is it doesn't always stay in a knot. So I'm going to pull that tight for now. But if the worst comes to worst, if you've got a little bit of super glue or something, just pop it on there. So I'm just going to trim the ends. And there he is. I have my now 2 little baby ghosts. I've just heard my cat come running in crying. I don't know whether you heard her there. What you doing, Pippi? Yes, I can hear you. So hopefully you enjoyed that little video today. Hopefully you'll be able to make some of these little ghosties. Any problems, just leave me a message. I'd love to hear some comments from you. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe and share. And don't forget to click the notification bell if you do want to see any of my future projects. Dolly one coming up next, so I've got to do a little bit of work on that. And hope to see you very soon. Bye.